Okay, so today we are going to look at ADFS single sign-on configuration to authorize a self-service portal or any other application in GroupID 8. The first thing I will bring up is the Authenticate admin panel for GroupID, SAML provider configuration. And here I just would like to confirm that we can only log in with a user which is also authorized in ASMAN, Authorization Manager of Windows. So if the user is registered here, they will have the ability to log in. In the admin panel, you can see we have a lot of pre-configured applications. So I'm just going to click Generate URL, select the application I'm going to set up my authentication with, and here I will choose Groups Portal. Click Copy. This is the URL we will be using to set up our relaying party trust in ADFS. So I'm just going to add a new relaying party trust in ADFS configuration. Click on Start. We will do all the configuration manually, as I have not got any exported metadata file which can be used. So I'm just going to go next here and call this Groups Portal Authentication. Here I will just add the note. I'm just going to add a small note here, just saying Group ID app, and go to the next step. And here I will select SAML 2.0 protocol for configuration. Leave everything to default, and here I will check this box, enable support for SAML to Web SSO protocol. The URL is the one we copied from generate URL against the application. Each application will have its own unique URL for authentication. Just a point. The next step would like us to provide relay party trust identifier. This will be provided while setting up a new provider in GroupID. So I'm going to click on SAML providers and click on this plus sign, which will open the configuration window. And first of all, I will change the client to groups, as this is the app I would like to use for Federation Services authentication. And I will copy the entity ID audience URL. This is the URL we will need for relaying party trust identifier. Clicking add here, as each application will have its unique identifier. Going to the next step, you can choose to set up multi-factor authentication or for other devices or other methods of authentication. In this case, I will just leave it to default and permitting all users to access this relaying party trust. Clicking on next, leaving everything to default, completing my configuration. Now I've got this new window, issuance transform rules and authorization rules. This is actually asking, ADFS is requesting to gather more details on how or which AD attribute will be used for authentication. The claim type. So I will select the option as transform an incoming claim, and I will use user principal name as my authenticator, or AD attribute as the authentication. So I'm just going to select UPN. Incoming and outgoing claims are same. Pass through all claim values and click on finish. I've got this configured as well as the authorization rule. No need to delegate at the moment. Clicking apply and OK will save this configuration. Group portal authentication. Now let's complete our settings inside of the GroupID SAML provider. So the first thing is to give a friendly name. This will be displayed on the logon screen. So groups authentication. The issuer URL is provided by the authentication entity. In this case, we are using ADFS, Active Directory Federation Services, so the issuer URL will be provided by ADFS configuration wizard. I'm going to go back to the ADFS box, click on services, right click and click edit the properties of this federation service, and the identifier is this URL. Just copy it and paste it here as it is. The login URL is the one we use for logging on to ADFS. So we'll open up a new browser, and this is the URL which will take us to the logon screen for ADFS. We just need to eliminate the last portion and copy this bit as our logon URL. You can choose an image which will be displayed on the logon screen for users. Now all we need is a certificate. So for certificate, we'll go back to the ADFS box. Here, click on Certificates tab, the token signing certificate. I will double click so I can edit, and once I can edit, I will export this certificate in a file. Once I have the file, I will open the file in Notepad and copy the contents. During copy process, you need to make sure that you choose the base 64 encoded option. Clicking on Browse, Desktop, Group Set, and click on Save, Next, and Finish. Export successful. Right-click the certificate, open with Notepad, pressing Ctrl A to copy entire contents, and going back to the GroupID box and pasting this. Just make sure there is no trailing space in the certificate, otherwise we will end up having issues during authentication. Now the basic configuration is done. We need to add the advanced configuration for request binding type, which we will change to post. To confirm this, whenever we set a relaying party trust, by default it's set as post. Double clicking this option and looking at endpoints, you can see the binding type is post. The second thing we have to configure here is the identity location. Now we are talking about the attribute. In ADFS we have selected user principal name, but within GroupID we also need to specify a handshake material or the URL for this identity, the user principal name. To get this, I will go back to the ADFS box and click on claim description, and we have a list of attributes which we can configure for authentication. I've selected UPN, double click, and this is the claim type URL. Copy this and paste it in GroupID. The configuration is complete. I will click create, and I have this groups authentication as ADFS configured. Now let's see if it is working. So I'm just going to close this, all of this, and expand self-service, portal, groups, and the first URL. Now you can see the button is showing up. I will click on this button, and we have an issue here. It looks like that we are routed to a wrong URL. So let's quickly have a look at the configuration which we did. I'm going to go back to authenticate, click on the admin panel, continue to this website, log in as the administrator who is in ASML, and edit this window. As you can see, the login URL is the culprit. I talked about this before. We need to specify the same URL which we use for ADFS sign-on, and this is the URL which I will copy and paste. Now we have the correct URL. Now I will just hit the update button, so it's updated, closing the browser window altogether. Now I'm going to click on server node and browse this URL. Clicking on group authentication, and now we are routed to the right URL. That's why we've got through and we've got a logon screen. So I'm just going to log in as a regular user, Ben Sims, and now Ben is getting authenticated through ADFS using user principal name as the attribute, and now we are logged in as Ben Sims. I hope this video is helpful in order to configure ADFS authentication using GroupID, and thanks for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.